Today I'm talking about 3 more Jeanne Moreau films, all of which are from the 90s and feature love. And the names of those 3 films are The Lover, I Love You Not, and Ever After, A Cinderella Story. First up is The Lover. This is a 1992 film based off of a true story of this 15-year-old girl who lived in Vietnam in, I think, the 20s, and she belonged to a rich family that aren't really rich anymore, but yet still try to live like they're rich. And she ends up taking a lover who's in his 30s. I'll repeat that. She was 15 and her lover was 30-something. This is a true story, which I can definitely believe. Okay, so for me to just kind of accept anything that's happening, I needed to not buy the premise of this. I needed to know that this actor, she was 18 and the guy was in his early 30s. So like, even though there's still like a 14-year age difference between them, so that's not great. But it's not as messed up as what the movie's tried to make it seem to be, because I didn't want to try to watch this. So I just had to tell that to myself. And then I was able to watch it and I thought it was fine. I do think it brings up interesting ideas of like power dynamics and also about like discovering your body and your sexuality and what you want out of a sexual experience. I think those are very interesting concepts. It's just a little f***ed up when it's a 15-year-old girl. So I did end up putting this in the liked category. I thought it was decent, but again, I did have to ignore what the premise of the story is. So that definitely brought it down a bit. But it is interesting. So if you're intrigued, I would say go for it, but you're probably gonna need to be like me and just acknowledge that the actor is an adult and it's not a child getting raped repeatedly. Next up is I Love You Not. This is a 1996 movie, and you're not gonna guess what the premise of this movie is. Like, look at this poster. Take a good look at this poster and that name. Like, oh, it's gonna be a cute, fun love story or something, right? No, it's about the Holocaust, but not in a way that you expect. So on one hand, we have this little old lady, the main character's grandma. She was a victim of the Holocaust, and the granddaughter is very interested in that because reasons. And we get all of these flashbacks of the Holocaust and people getting taken off in trains and just like all this sad murder stuff. That's one hand, that's one part of the story. And then the other part of this story is a cute, fun little romance between Claire Danes and Jude Law. And it's like, these two things don't go together. It's a love story in the 90s, but also a cautionary tale of what fascism leads to. What are you doing? So like, looking at this movie kind of segmented of just like, you know, there's cute fun little moments with Jude Law and Claire Danes. There's cute fun little moments between a grandma and a granddaughter just bonding over whatever. And then there's the harrowing awfulness of World War II stuff, of the Holocaust. Like, oh, those are decent and good, but together, it's fucking weird, man. I don't know how this movie came about. I honestly would not be surprised if this was like 2 very different ideas that just got combined together by an executive who was like, the Holocaust is hot right now. Schindler's List came out 3 years ago. Let's jump on that train. Oh god, I shouldn't have said that. I don't know. It's so weird. Though, in a sense, this is kind of reminiscent of Titanic, which came out 2 years later, which is also a love story tied into a really tragic event. Though I feel like that one was just kind of naturally did it better, because it was, both things were set in the same location and same time, whereas this was, one is thing set in the 90s, the other is set in the 40s, so I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. I still liked it, but it's at the bottom of the liked category. Would I recommend it? No. It's so strange. And lastly is Ever After, A Cinderella Story. I am not the target audience for this movie. Like, that was blatantly clear from the onset. And like, I can be good about watching movies where I'm not the target audience and like suspending myself and putting myself in other people's shoes and trying to, you know, like ride that train. But like, man, this is just the polar opposite of me as a person. And I was just like, this movie's not bad. It's just not for me. Like, it's very, very clearly just not a Charlie movie at all. And I felt bad about it because I'm just like, I just don't care. I just don't care at all. Apparently this is like the most faithful Cinderella adaptation and people love it a lot. And I'm like, all the respect to you for loving this movie. If it's your jam, that's great. It is not for me. It's too sappy. It's too melodramatic. It's too, it's just not Charlie. So, yeah, that's really unfortunate. Now, even though I didn't care for this movie, if you think it's your jam, give it a watch. Give it a try. Because, like, it probably will be, if I'm being really honest. Because it has connected with a lot of other people, and I'm like, I get it. I get it for them. It didn't hit me. It didn't strike a chord with me. And that's okay. Not everything has to. So if you think it will, go for it. Honestly, go for it. This is definitely one of the few times where it's a movie where I didn't like it, that I would totally still recommend it. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got The Lover sitting at number 98 in the liked category. And then not too terribly far behind is I Love You Not, sitting at number 103, also in the liked category. And then bringing up the rear is Ever After, a Cinderella story, sitting at number 118 at the very top of the didn't like section. And this is out of a total of 129 old movies so far this year.